Hey friends, welcome to Vlogmas Day 2. Yesterday, you know how I ended it with the giveaway? It was kind of weird. It looked like you probably didn't know where I was, but I will be honest, I was actually like hiding out in the basement in our downstairs because I could not find a quiet place to go in the house. Like Athena was being loud, Kevin was watching TV, I was trying to do the voiceover. You know, he doesn't know I'm doing this, so he comes tramping down the stairs, you know, boom, 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 boom. It's just like, I just needed to get the video done, and I just needed a quiet place to do it. So I was in the bathroom doing that. It was so echoey, it was terrible. So I'm hoping that my videos get better as we go along. But welcome, thank you for joining me today. So we left off yesterday with the story of St. Nicholas, and that will continue on today, and really get into the nuts and bolts of his ministry today. So that's exciting. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about St. Nicholas Day. So this I find very ironic, and just the interesting ways that the Lord works. So I have a friend named Maria that I met at a retreat, and I adore her. She's the sweetest person. And she sent me something. I haven't received it yet. Matter of fact, I need to have her track it because it should have been here. I think she said Monday, and here it is Wednesday, and I don't have it. Anyways, she asked me if I celebrated St. Nicholas Day, and I've never heard of it. So just so you know, I wasn't born Catholic. I became Catholic when I was about 30 years old. Kevin was what they call a cradle Catholic. He was born and raised Catholic, went to Catholic school and all that. So some of those traditions, you know, I just didn't grow up with, and obviously he didn't either. Or maybe he did and he forgot about it. I don't know. But anyways, I have never heard of St. Nicholas Day. And so she explained to me this great tradition that she has in her family. And so I just thought it was fascinating. Number one, that I hadn't heard of it. Number two, that, you know, people celebrate this, but it's not like well known. And so then I was reading this book, the one that I'm reading to you for Vlogmas, and I was just studying it and, you know, picking parts that I wanted to leave out and making sure I read this and kind of taking notes in the book. And they talked about St. Nicholas Day in there, and I was like, oh, how interesting. Well, then, like the next day, the grandkids were here, and Eric, their father, came over to pick Easton up to take him to wrestling practice. And he said, did you tell Grandma Gigi what you got for St. Nicholas Day? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys celebrate St. Nicholas Day? I'm like, I just learned about it. I mean, I'm gonna be 57 in a few weeks, and this is the first I've heard of it. So I think it's cool that the grandkids are celebrating St. Nicholas Day and that they are teaching them about it and starting this super cool tradition. So I wanna talk about it a little bit with you today. It's more reading, and I'm a terrible reader, you guys. If I'm just casually reading by myself, it's not bad, but reading out loud, my brain and my mouth don't sync up a lot of times. So anyway, I just want to read St. Nicholas Day traditions to you. It says, on December 5th, the eve of St. Nicholas Day, children traditionally leave a shoe or a boot in front of the fireplace. The next morning, the shoe is filled with small gifts like coins, candy, and oranges. The coins are given in remembrance of the coins St. Nicholas left the girls in need of a dowry, and oranges were given to signify the gold that St. Nicholas gave away to those in need. This tradition comes from the legends of St. Nicholas's generosity and led to the celebration of Santa Claus on Christmas Day today. On Christmas Day today. That sounds funny. In some countries like Germany and Austria, St. Nicholas is accompanied by his counterpart, the Krampus. I'm not sure how you say that. Much like the legend of Santa Claus, the Krampus will leave coal in the shoes of misbehaving children. Children are encouraged to participate in acts of kindness to stay off the Krampus naughty list. In some countries, people begin St. Nicholas Day celebrations with a parade. Many end their day with a celebratory meal. And since St. Nicholas is the patron saint of unmarried women in Italy, it's not just children who receive gifts. One fun way to celebrate is to make traditional St. Nicholas cookies. In the United States, gingerbread and sugar cookies are the most popular, while in countries such as the Netherlands and Germany, make spice cookies and peppermint cookies. The spice cookies are made into the shape of St. Nicholas, complete with a bishop's mitre and staff. Another tradition that is observed is to perform random acts of kindness on St. Nicholas' feast day. You could draw, now his feast day is December 6th. You could, I think, I might have that wrong. St. Nicholas Day, I know, is the 6th. I'll have to check on that. You could drop off a grocery store gift card to those in need, give books to your parish to use at Christmas, anonymously pay the utility bill of someone in need, or donate gifts to local foster care programs. Spend time as a family brainstorming what you can do to serve your community, just as St. Nicholas did when he was alive. That's so cool, isn't it? All right, so hold on. St. Nicholas Feast Day. I think it's the 6th. Okay, yeah, the 6th. It says, why do we celebrate St. Nicholas? We celebrate St. Nicholas Day in memory of St. Nicholas of Myra, who lived in the 4th century and is said to have died on the 6th of December. St. Nicholas is said to have worked many miracles during his life. He is one of the most popular saints in the Catholic Church. So there you go. All right, I think that's fascinating, and I think that is a tradition that if you don't celebrate it, you know, start that. I mean, it's almost like for little kids, it's just, they're already wound up about Christmas, and that's just, it's an opportunity to talk to the children about St. Nicholas and the fact that it's not all about, the round guy in the red suit with the white fur trim. It's not about Santa Claus. It's about St. Nicholas, and it's about the birth of Jesus. So it just opens up those conversations. Okay, I also wanted to mention, thank you so much for your amazing comments. Oh my gosh, I woke up this morning and read your comments, and it just gave me all those good feels, and I was just imagining all of you as children. I was just picturing you as children doing these things with your family, and I love Christmas. I love the traditions and different ways families get together and the different things they do and celebrate. So thank you for all of your comments. I know it takes time to, think about it and type it all out, and I know we're all so busy this time of year, but I just want you to know I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the giveaway, and then I'm going to take this camera down to the studio, and I'm going to ask Kyle and Kevin what is their favorite Christmas memory as a child. There's my dog again. I'm telling you, there's no place I can go where I have complete silence until I'm done recording. Just impossible. So I'm going to talk about the giveaway. So the winner, I'm going to put the name up here, is Chris Yo. Chris, I'm so happy for you. Chris is one of my friends that she's very giving. She makes things for people, not just me, but other people. And she's very talented, very kind. And her comment, I used the YouTube comment picker, and I put in the keyword Christmas, and she won. So yeah, I wanted to read her comment, actually. I'm going to put her name up on the screen, but I didn't want to leave it there super long, so let me just find her comment. Okay. Chris's comment was, so excited to see your first Vlogmas. My favorite Christmas memory is lying under the tree with my little sister, staring up through the tree lights, tinsel, and ornaments. We would dream of snow days, presents, candy, and what the future would bring. These memories are bittersweet, as I lost my little sister when she was only 45 years young. Had she lived, she would be celebrating 9 grandkids today. I live my life and always celebrate a little harder for Julie. Whenever a business like Starbucks asks for a name, I always say Julie in her memory. Don't be sad for us, as Julie lives on in 3 glorious kids and 9 chips off the old block grandkids. Hugs from Northeast Ohio. Chris, that is a beautiful comment. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, it is heartbreaking, but the way that you keep her with you is very beautiful. So thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, so this time, excuse me, this time the question, or what I want you to leave in the comments, is what is your favorite Christmas treat? The keyword will be Christmas, or the keyword will be treat. But I want to know, like, do you make Christmas cookies? Do you have a favorite dessert that you make? Do you like indulge in eggnog at Christmas time? Like, what is your like thing that you can't wait to eat every year at Christmas time? And like, do you do a cookie exchange? I mean, I love all of that. I don't bake cookies because I might do a little bit this year, but it's just Kevin and I, we'll eat them all. And I can't take all, Brianna and Eric don't want all that sugar at their house because their kids are wild enough without it. But I do think they are coming over. They don't have school next Thursday, so I think we're gonna get them a little earlier and, you know, make some cookies and maybe do some Christmas stuff with them. And I'll share that with you. I can't share photos or pictures of them anymore online, just for their own safety, but I can share the experience with you in maybe if it's the back of their head or something, I can. So anyways, I'm going to head down to the studio and ask the guys what is their favorite Christmas memory, and then I will answer it as well. All right, we'll see you in a minute. Hello, friends. Today is not working out like I thought. So I went down to the studio and asked Kyle if he would be interested in sharing his favorite childhood Christmas memory, and he is camera shy. Who knew? He plays in a band. He loves the attention. He's great on stage. He's not shy at all, but I think it's just a little weird for him. So he's not doing it. And then I was setting up the camera so Kevin and I could do it and, you know, share our favorite Christmas childhood memory. And Ryan showed up and they're working on the kits and it just didn't work out. So maybe he can share that when he joins me next time. But anyway, I want to share with you I don't like have one favorite one, but my childhood, you know, so my dad grew up in Bernie, Missouri, and he came to Michigan to work for GM, and that's where he met my mom too, so that's pretty cool. But, you know, it's 12 hours from Michigan to Missouri, Bernie, Missouri, and we spent every GM vacation he had, we went to Missouri. So we went there for Easter. We went in the summer for a couple weeks. We went at Thanksgiving and we went at Christmas. And I loved going there for Christmas and seeing my grandma's tree all decorated. My grandma lived in a very tiny house. It was a very nice, clean, well-kept house. And her, excuse me, my aunt, so my dad's sister, so it was my grandma and my dad and his sister, and of course my aunt's married, and then they have Shelly, and now Shelly has a son and 2 grandkids. So that, I don't know why I shared all that, but anyway, I still have family there, let's just put it that way. So my aunt would help my grandma decorate her house for Christmas, and you know, the little southern newspaper, those little small towns, those newspapers were so cool. I mean, they shared everything in those newspapers. Well, they would have a Christmas house decorating competition every year, and my grandma won it a few times. Her house always was decked out. If I could find pictures of it, I would share it, but that would take hours for me digging through bins of photos, and I'm not going to do that. But just close your eyes and imagine a little, probably a 700 square foot home, if that much, no basement, and little yellow house, the door right in the center, of the house, and then a little porch, and then flanking, both sides of the porch were these beautifully well kept, trimmed evergreens that she would put lights on. And anyways, it was magical. And we would go every Christmas there, and it was wonderful. We'd go to the church. Her church was right across the street. We walked to church. Tina Wu's here with me. And Tina Wu, what's your favorite Christmas? What's your favorite Christmas memory? Oh, girl, that's funny. So, that's mine. I loved going to Missouri for Christmas. And, we would go there for like a week, or what was it? Like, you'd have almost 2 weeks off, I think. Gal, she really got me. Like 2 weeks off for Christmas. And we would come home sometimes on my birthday. My birthday is New Year's Eve. And sometimes we're like in the car for 12 hours. I'm in the backseat with my brother for 12 hours on my birthday. We didn't do that very often because I complained a lot. I'm like, this is not fair. So anyway, that's my favorite Christmas thing, or memory as a child. And we would get in the car, we'd load up in the car, and we'd drive around and look at all the Christmas lights on the houses and stuff. And I still like to do that. We don't do it a whole lot, but it's different when your kids grow up and you're empty nesters. You don't do quite as much of those things as you used to. I need to bring those back because I still enjoy it. We did go on a fall ride around after church to look at the pretty colors, and we hadn't done that in years either. So maybe this year Kevin and I can take a quiet evening and just go driving around and looking at Christmas lights. And not everybody decorates like they used to as well. And then there's people that go over the top. It's like super cool. Anyways, that's it. That's my take on Christmas as a child. Wonderful, wonderful memories that will last me forever, and I want to pass them down to my children and share, what we used to do. Yep. So anyway, all right, take care. Merry Christmas. The story of his coming to the rescue of a family in financial need led to St. Nicholas being considered the patron saint of pawnbrokers, as they lend to families in times of financial need. 3 bags of gold that St. Nicholas threw in the window led bankers, moneylenders, and pawnbrokers to adopt the 3 gold balls as their symbol. After several years, Nicholas desired to go to the Holy Land to see the places where Jesus walked. He boarded a ship which sailed first across the Mediterranean to North Africa and then set course for Palestine. As the ship was passing Egypt, Nicholas perceived that a storm would soon arise and warned his fellow travelers, telling them that it was as if he saw the devil himself enter the ship, with the intent to drown them in the depths the hour the heavens grew black with clouds and the sea raged in a terrible storm. The travelers, certain of death, called out to Nicholas, "If thou, O servant of God, do not help us by thy prayers to the Lord, we shall immediately perish." Nicholas commanded them to have courage and trust God for a speedy deliverance. As Nicholas prayed fervently, the sea quickly became peaceful. A sailor, though, slipped and fell from the top of the mast and lay dead on the deck. Nicholas immediately prayed for him, and the sailor arose as if awakening from sleep. Their ship arrived at Alexandria, North Africa, where Nicholas consoled the afflicted and prayed for many ill and possessed people who were subsequently healed. Finally, Nicholas resumed his journey to the Holy Land. Arriving in Jerusalem, Nicholas visited Golgotha, where Christ was crucified, and the other holy places. The Greek Orthodox history states, "And when at night he wanted to enter a holy church for prayer, the closed doors of the church swung open by themselves, disclosing an unhindered entry to him for whom were opened also the heavenly gates." After spending long enough in Jerusalem, Nicholas intended to journey into the desert and there dedicate himself to a life of solitude and prayer. But a divine voice from on high instructed him to return to his homeland and not hide his light under a bushel. Nicholas boarded a ship to return to his homeland of Lycia.
But after they departed, the crew set course in a different direction. Nicholas fell at their feet and beseeched them to change their direction, but they refused. Suddenly, a storm arose and threatened the ship with destruction, and in the course blew the ship around towards Lycia. Once again, in the region of Lycia, Nicholas came to the monastery of Holy Sion, which had been founded by his uncle the bishop. A welcome guest to the brotherhood, they received him as an angel and were encouraged by his divinely inspired speeches. Nicholas seriously considered consecrating himself to the peaceful contemplative life of the monastery, but was admonished not to bury his treasure by a voice heard while standing in prayer. Nicholas, if you desire to be vouchsafed a crown from me, go and struggle for the good of the world. As Nicholas pondered this, he then heard again, Nicholas, here is not the field on which you must bring forth the fruit, I expect, but turn back and go into the world and let my name be glorified in you. Nicholas decided to leave the monastery. Instead of returning to Patara, the city of his birth, he chose to go where he was unknown, to a large coastal metropolis of Myra. Arriving there, Nicholas lived as a pauper, having nowhere to lay his head. His only refuge was the house of the Lord. As Providence would have it, John, the archbishop of the entire land of Lycia, had died. Bishops from the entire region gathered to Myra to choose a replacement. There was great discord, as no agreement could be made. One of their number stood up and proclaimed, the election of a bishop to this throne is not up to the decision of the people, but is a matter of God's direction. It is proper for us to say prayers so that the Lord himself will disclose who is worthy to receive such rank and be the shepherd of the whole land of Lycia. The council responded by devoting themselves to prayer and fasting. After a few days, the eldest bishop saw a vision while standing in prayer. Before him appeared a man in an image of light and commanded him to go to the doors of the church during the night and observe who would enter before everyone else. This, he said, is my choice. Receive him with honor and install him as archbishop. The name of this man is Nicholas. The bishop informed the entire council, who increased their prayers. The eldest bishop stationed himself all night by the church doors with anticipation. When time came for morning service, Nicholas, who had been accustomed to arise at midnight for prayer, arrived at church before all others. As soon as Nicholas entered the church, the elderly bishop stopped him and asked his name. Nicholas remained silent. The bishop asked him again, and Nicholas meekly and softly answered him, My name is Nicholas. I am the servant of thy holiest master. The bishop, hearing the name Nicholas, and beholding his humble and meek manner, rejoiced and took Nicholas by his hand, saying, Follow me, child. The other bishops were immediately delighted and relieved that the vacant archbishop position was to be filled. Word of this instantly spread everywhere, and multitudes of people began flocking to the church. The elderly bishop addressed the crowd. Brethren, receive your shepherd, whom the Holy Spirit himself anointed, and to whom he entrusted the care of your souls. He was not appointed by an assembly of men, but by God himself. Now we have the one that we desired, and have found and accepted the one we sought. Under his rule and instruction, we will not lack the hope that we will stand before God in the day of his appearing and revelation. For quite a while Nicholas refused the office, being unable to endure the praise of men. But after ardent requests from the council of bishops, he remembered a vision he had prior to the death of the Archbishop John, and yielded to ascend the episcopal throne against his will. Nicholas strove to be an example to the believers in word, in conversation, in love, in spirit, in faith, and in purity. He was humble of spirit and forgiving, shunning all vainglory. He wore simple clothing and ate only once a day in the evening. All the day long he spent in labor proper to his office, listening to the requests and needs of those who came to him. The doors of his house were open to all. He was kind and affable to all. To orphans he was a father, to the poor a merciful giver, to the weeping a comforter, to the wronged a helper, and to all a great benefactor. During the life of Nicholas, persecution arose against the church from Emperor Diocletian and his co-regent Maximian. These two rulers of the East held a council at Nicomedia in 302 AD and resolved to suppress Christianity throughout the empire. On February 24th, 303 AD, they demolished the cathedral of Nicomedia. An edict was issued to tear down the churches to the foundations and to destroy the sacred scriptures by fire, and commanding also that those who were in honorable station should be degraded as if they persevered in the adherence to Christianity. 3 further edicts between 303 and 304 AD marked successive stages in the severity of the persecution. The first, ordering the bishops, presbyters, and deacons should be imprisoned. The second, that they should be tortured and compelled by every means to sacrifice. The third, including the laity as well as the clergy. The atrocious cruelty with which these edicts were enforced and the vast number of those who suffered for the faith are attested by the historian Eusebius and in the Acts of the Martyrs. An order was sent throughout the Roman Empire that Christians must renounce Christ and worship idols. Those who did not submit to this order were compelled to it by a confinement in prison and severe torture, and finally given over to execution. In some cases, whole populations of towns were massacred because they declared themselves Christians. On May 1, 305 AD, Emperor Diocletian abdicated his throne, in part because of a painful intestinal illness. This was unprecedented for a Roman emperor to resign, and soon there was partial relief from the persecution. In the eastern part of the empire, however, where Galerius and Maximian held sway, the persecution continued to rage. Therefore, the so-called Diocletian persecution should be attributed to the influence of Galerius, who continued it for 7 years after Diocletian's abdication. This storm of persecution had quickly reached Myra. Bishop Nicholas, who was the leader of all Christians in the city, continued freely and boldly to preach the piety of Christ, despite threats of suffering. He was soon seized by torturers and confined in prison with many other Christians. He remained there for several years, bearing severe suffering and enduring hunger and thirst in the overcrowded dungeon. He ministered to his fellow prisoners and encouraged them to stand strong in their faith in Christ. When Galerius died, the leadership of Rome fell into dispute. After several battles, it came down to Constantine and Sentius fighting for control of the entire empire. The X in Xmas. Just prior to the fateful contest, Constantine saw a sign of Christ in the sky. It reportedly was the first 2 letters of the Greek name for Christ. The first letter, written X, is called Chi, and the second letter, P, is called Rho. Constantine had his soldiers put this Christian sign on all his flags and standards. When he won the battle of the Milvian Bridge, he ordered all persecution of Christians to cease. The Chi Rho, or XP, was shortened to simply Chi. In 1390, the mark plus or X, written before the alphabet, was called the Cross Christ, meaning the cross of Christ. In 1475, this evolved into the Middle English pronunciation of Christ's cross. Learning the Christ's cross Rho was the expression used for learning the alphabet. The mark X stood for the phrase, Christ cross, me speed, which means, may Christ's cross give me success, an invocation said before reciting the alphabet. The Christ cross, X, was also a form of written oath before God used when signing one's name on a document, similar to swearing on a Bible and saying, "So help me God." In the event a person could not write, signing the Christ cross was used in place of their signature and often accompanied with a kiss to show sincerity. This was the origin of putting X's and O's at the bottom of St. Valentine's Day cards to express a pledge before God, sealed with a kiss. It was also the origin of medieval practice of crossing one's heart. Shortly thereafter, in 313 AD, the new emperor Constantine issued the Edict of Toleration. This officially gave Christianity tolerance throughout the Roman Empire. Constantine ordered the release of those imprisoned for Christ. He honored them with great praises and allowed them to return to their homelands. At this time, Bishop Nicholas was allowed to return to the city of Myra and was joyously received back as its beloved shepherd.